Hello, and thank you for joining us at another one of the wonderful Shop at Home Scrapbook Expo. Today we are talking all about stencils, and I'm just going to go through stencils and showing you some samples of using stencils. For most of us, stencils are a staple in our crafting arsenal, and whether you're a new person to stencils or someone who's been using them for quite a long time, there are many different ways that you can use stencils besides pretty much just the reason why they're created. You can use them for accenting, you can use them for page building on your card of backgrounds. There's just so many different ways that you can use stencils to enhance your projects, as well as using stencils for ways of adding texture to your projects. So stencils come in many different shapes and forms. There are some that are very straightforward in the design of how it is on the format of your stencil. This is one of our very straightforward stencils. It's called the 𝐒𝐿𝐵 stencil. It just has the cutout and then it explodes at the end. And it is basically used just as a background type stencil. And here is an example of that card in action. And it was done in a rainbow color, but it's used as an accent piece behind your focal point. That way you can make a nice, clean and simple card using a stencil as a background. Other stencils can be used as backgrounds as well, but you can just add even more to them. So for example, here is another one with a regular, let me put that to the side here, regular standard background, but instead of using it in the whole of the card, they just used a little bit of the design in this corner and then repeated a little bit in the design in that corner. And then with the colors added some splatters to it to just give it even more textures, add a little bit more. So the splatters are not the stencil at all. It's just this chainmail looking medieval stencil design. Okay, then we have, I don't know if I have a stencil here with me. Okay, so then here's another stencil we had. This was called Music in Me. And it's this background here of all the music notes going in all different directions. And you can see we have it here for two examples. This one, it was used a tone on tone just to help anchor the design of the card. Let me zoom here for you. So they ink blended in teal, and then they inked the actual stencil in a darker teal. That way their pops of color could be used with the die cut pieces. So here's another way that you can subtly use it as an accent piece. And here is the same exact stencil, again used as an accent piece, but this time they made it more colorful and they made it a little bit larger, that it was more a part of the card in the design, as opposed to here, it's more of a background area for it. So that's showing two different ways using the same stencil. Here is another one that we have, hold on, not used in a traditional way. So this is our spider web stencil. And it's a full 6x6 stencil. They just used it as a small mat, but then they decided to color it in a non-traditional spider web tone. They did it in a cute little rainbow just to help accent the card, make the image pop out, and bring nice, bright, and vibrant colors to a Halloween card, where normally a spider web would just be done in either your blacks or your grays. Okay, then we have, hold on, just grabbing some other examples here. We have some that are non-traditional in the way that they are stencil type builders. And on this card, it is the flames. This stencil has different strips of flames on it so that you can build it to get the various background that you would like and have intended. That way you can use layers on top of layers with your ink colors. And then you can get the flames that they're not all line up and staggered, but they're going in the different ways. And so this is a layering stencil for you to add different layers onto it, like so. And let me find another stencil that you might see that's different than a traditional looking stencil. Sometimes you get stencils that might look like this. Should I take it out of the packaging so you can see it a little better? Because the glare, I'm sorry about that. I should have thought to do that first. But now you probably can't see it. Let me just grab a solid color piece of paper to put down here. So here is another stencil that you might be looking at it and you're like, okay, I don't even understand what this stencil is about or how I would use it. This is our spotlight stencil, and we actually have two different versions for it. And the spotlight is so that you can do a layering for your fun cards that have a spotlight. So you have the circle, oval circle, which is where the light is at the end of your spotlight. And then you have the two beams of light. And in a spotlight, you would have that variation of color in there. So you could do one layer in the lighter, and then you layer the second one on top of it and do an ink on ink blend. And you get this really cool looking effect there with another way to layer some stencils. Whoops. Then we also carry what we call scene building stencils. Let me take this one out as well. This is our desert stencil. I'm sorry, our desert landscape stencil. So sometimes you'll be getting stencils that maybe aren't, a traditional square type style like this original one I showed you. Some of them, as you are aware of, will have cutouts on the edges. And this is just so that you can get the most out of your stencil. And this one, when you put them all together, you can create a really cool background image of a desert landscape for your cowboys and just more of your rustic type cards. You use this as the template that you would be doing behind the mountains, and then you can move it down and get other layers on top of there as well. And I'm going to show you a layering stencil in a demo in just a few moments. Then we have what I call our cactus builders. And we have two different styles. Again, these are more of the scene building type stencils. I take these ones out as well. I should have taken all of them out prior to starting our video here. But this is a cactus building stencil where you have the solid part of your cactus. Then you can add your stripes to your cactus. And then you can add the little prickly stuff to your cactuses as well. So we have two different styles here. And for an example of this one, let me just take this off the screen here. You have this to help you with your scene building. So you would ink blend this in your lighter green, and then when that's done, you'd move the stripes. You layer that on top to add the darker color, and then at the end, you add your cute little prickles or whatever you call those. And then here is an example of that other cactus. Same concept. You ink blend the main part of your cactus. You add your stripes. You add your little whatever you call those things. And then this one even had little flower blooms. And then you can make a simple and adorable CAS style card here. And you can see it adds just all the different layers that are on there. Then I just had another one that was a layering stencil. Let's see. Then we have, this is actually our very, very, very first stencil builder we ever created, which was our trees. And again, you might look at some stencils and be like, I don't understand how that all goes together. But these are all the different tree tops that you can create, and then your tree trunks. And here is an example of that being used on this card. You just simply make your tree tops, and then you go ahead and you stencil your stems and your tree bark on top of it. And you can create these really adorable and cute backgrounds with your stencils. Now that's using stencils in a very traditional way of just, your ink blending. But there's just so much more you can do with stencils. And one way that you can do that is by adding texture. And this might not show up well on camera, but this was our brick stencil that they then used texture paste to raise it up, and then the ink blended on top of that. So you get this really cool organic type feel. This is that same stencil. I'm going to grab this one out, but used just in the traditional way with the ink blending. So it's just the brick wall. But you can tell in person more so than on camera here that the texture just adds an extra layer and a different feel overall to your whole card than just the ink blending. But that is the exact same stencil, just used in two different ways. And so a lot of the times people will use stencils with texture pastes and things of that nature. This one's a little hard to see unless the light catches it a certain way. But this is our Warp Speed stencil. This is from one of our grab and go boxes. And they ink blended their background, and then they texture paste with some fine glitter texture paste and placed that on top of the stencil and got this really cool effect that just not only catches the light really cool, but it also has the feel and texture of it. That same exact stencil is used also on this card, which is probably going to be really hard to tell, but they did it as an embossing technique. So you can use your stencils for embossing if you have that rubber mat that goes into your die cut machine. So if you have like a big shot, you know how you have the different ways you sandwich things. Same thing with your Gemini and all. You can actually take your stencils and put them on the plates. I wish I could get the light to catch it for you, but it is a raised emboss of the stencil there. So again, you don't even always have to use your stencils in the traditional ways when you're adding, texture pastes to them, and then using them as an emboss as well. Here is another example of using texture paste. This one has the glittery to it again. So it's textured. It has a good organic feel, and then hard to see on this one as well, and I'm sorry about that, but the white part of this card is embossed in the stencil, white on white, and then they tied that in by doing a smaller panel, ink blended, just in an ombre color effect, and then on top of that, put the stencil again and used the glitter texture paste and put that on there. So this card ties together really well because it's used as embossing and texture paste. And here's just another little example of the stars. They used like a white on white effect. But if the light catches that, you should be able to see those stars. And again, it just gives a whole new feel for your cards when you can texture and emboss on them. And another one here, this is simply just an ink blended card mat, going from the darker to the center, and then the stencil right on top of that. with some nice fun shine, and then a simple die, and make a really cute card there. Now we just came out with, so we have tons of stencils in our shop. Again, everything from just your basic standard style background stencils, and then also to some scene building stencils. Now in recent months, as you know, all the rage right now is slim lines. So we also came out with some really cool slim line stencils, but ours are Stencil Builders. And this is our cloud builder. And then we have a beach builder. And these come with several different pieces to them. So these are to create scenes for your card. So this one, you get the stencil that helps you create the sand, helps you create the ocean with the waves in it, and then even your sky on top of that. Then we also have, I'm trying to find them all for you. Let's see. Trying to find the mountain one. We have a mountain builder. Here we go. Our mountain builder stencils. Again, it's a layering stencil. It comes with different layers, and when you put it all together, you can create really cool scenes like so. And these are really a lot of fun to do, creating the layering effects, laying down parts of your stencils in the different ways, and just keep building upon building with different inks and different colors. So don't just always think of stencils in the traditional way of which you possibly would have had them bought for, because you can use them many different ways. So let me show you what the mountain stencil actually consists of when you get them in the kit. Well, I don't want to call it a kit, the Stencil Builders, but again, so like if you had just gotten a piece like this, you might not necessarily know what it's for, but it is actually to start creating the tops of your mountain peaks. And then you have, I guess, is it this one maybe? Just different ways you can use them. I don't know which way we've got here. This is another way to make your mountains. I think it's this one. Here we go. There we go. This would be your second layer of putting on your mountains. And then this is your third layer of your mountains, like so. And then you have your fun tree lines, like that. And then your final ones down on, which way did I put this one? Maybe, okay, I'm not sure. So you get the idea. You just build them up. And we have, I believe, 6 or 7 of the new Slimline Builder dies to help you make some fabulous cards with your new Slimlines. We are going to show you real quickly how to use and create the clouds really, really quickly. So let me just grab my papers and my cloud stencil and some of my colors. So here's one of my clouds. This is another one of my clouds. Just want to make sure I'm not missing any of my cloud pieces here. Oops. Hold on, sorry about that. Cloud. Okay. Oh, so here is another one that we did. This is our houses builder. So it's got the rows of houses for you to create a cute scene that way. And then we have our ocean builder. This one is a lot of fun. This is our smallest stencil because it is meant for a slim line. So this is as wide as your stencil actually gets. So it's quite narrow compared to the other ones that go across the whole of your card. But this one makes the cute little ocean. And then we have a grass builder one. So you can do different textures of grass on there. And then we have our clouds, which is a lot of fun. So I'm going to just go ahead and demo a really quick cloud for you. So let me just, like I said, find my papers. There's actually 4 pieces to this stencil. And of course, my 4th one I put aside and now I cannot find it. That's my house. All right, well, we'll do it with the 3 pieces. You're still going to get a really cool and nice effect doing so it doesn't make too much of a difference if you don't have that last piece. So I'm just going to grab a piece of my paper really quick that I'm going to ink blend on. I'll get this out of the way, just to show you the ease and simplicity of how very, very easy it is to use Stencil Builders if you've never tried these before. So I'm going to do our clouds in the shades of some purple and maybe some blues. So let me just go grab my inks and I will be right back. Okay, so I have my inks that I want to use, which are hybrid inks, and just put those aside. I have my paper that I'm just going to ink blend the sky on. And there's no right or wrong way, or order, I should say, on how to use the stencils. Because you're just going to be building the sky to your liking. So I'm just getting out my little brushes here, and I'm going to show you just how simple it is to create a cloud sky. So I'm just going to ink up my blending brush, and I'm just going to ink up that initial first layer, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch to a different cloud shape, and you can overlap them or you can bring them down a little bit. I like when they overlap because then you get the variations in the shadings of the different clouds. So I'm just going now and adding on that next layer. And you can see clouds are beginning to form. And I'm going to go ahead with my next stencil. And all I'm doing is stenciling and moving it down with each of the layers as I go, building that sky scene. And then you can switch it up by adding in multiple colors for your clouds. So I'm going to go and add in some pinks. And you can also take your stencil. See, this one lines up exactly with the one we did a row ago. You can flip it over, and now you'll get even more variation in your clouds and the way that they're hitting one another. So not everything is perfectly staggered and in line, because clouds are not going to line up. And then I'm going to do the same with this one, flipping it over just to get my clouds not to be perfectly aligned. And then my last one down here, gonna make this one a little bit lower. And it's this simple to make a really cute cloud scene. And then when you trim it off, when you have the white, all right, where's my trimmer? When you go to trim it, and I'm just gonna pretend my card was a little bit wider than what I might have made, just so you see here, you end up with that last row that does not have the color. You can just simply take some of your ink and you just very lightly add the color just to finish off the final layer of your project. And the same on the top. If usually I have my card part that I'm going to be inking cut to the size of my card base, so then I know exactly how far I want to go down as well. But you get the idea of it, and that's as simple as it is to create different cloud bursts. And that is how all of our new stencil builders go together. So these are the new ones that just came out not long ago. This is our beach builder scene. It's the 3 pieces. It's the sand, the water, and the horizon. We have our 5-piece mountain builder scene, which is a lot of fun, very popular one. Here is the cloud builder that we just did. Actually 4 pieces, I only used the 3. Then we have a very simple 3-piece grass building one to help you get different variations when you're making your outdoor scenes. Our 5-piece ocean builder. It even comes with the little dolphins, school of fish. Our 4-piece house builder scene. This one's a lot of fun. You have the house tops, and then you also have all the little windows that you can build on top of your houses. And then for our Valentine's one, we had, this is our largest stencil. It's actually 14 pieces. And the reason why it's 14 pieces is of how the layering goes. So you get the top of the hearts and also the side. Obviously, you don't have to use all these different color inks. If you were doing pinks on pinks, reds on reds for Valentine's would be great. You can also change it up and do all green for a love St. Patrick's Day. It could be whatever you want. So those are the different ways you guys can use stencils. Don't always think that you only have to use stencils the way that they are packaged and mailed to you. There's so many different ways you can use them, different ways you can build on them, add texture to them. You can even foil them. There's so many different ways that you can use what you already have in your arsenal in new and exciting ways. So I hope that this little demo and explanation was informative for you and maybe you learned something new. Have a great day, you guys. Keep on crafting.